things about you. Bala is an engineer of profession who holds a master's degree in electrical engineering. And he works as an integrated circuit design engineer for a company in semiconductor industry. He comes from a Shaiva religious family. He was introduced to traditional Tirupugal singing since childhood. He then studied professional Tirumari singing and completed a degree from Kovilur Adinam. He also completed a course of Saiva Jnana Bodham conducted by World Cyber Council Australia and is currently enrolled in course on Saiva Jnana Tirumari Valakkam. Bala believes in continuous learning and is passionate about exploring Saiva scriptures in both Tamil and Sanskrit. So we see you as a passionate person in your field and a continuous learner, which really touches me. And because I believe in that, I continue to study till about 65 years and did courses like you, one after the other. And I think we can't stop studying. We can't stop learning. They say what we know is like a grain of sand in the beach, and what we don't know is it's massive. It's great. So I appreciate that. So I hope you are going to sing to us as well. And I sincerely hope that you'll sing something during your talk. But before you start your talk and before I invite you, I just read today an article written by the Reverend Father S.J. Emmanuel, who is in exile at the moment from Sri Lanka, because he's one of those people who spoke up for unity as well as against injustice in Sri Lanka. So he's writing about the bombing of the churches that took place 3 years ago on the 21st of April 2019. And it was done by extremist Muslims, and the ones who were targeted were Christians in 3 different churches. Mostly Tamils were killed, about 260 people killed and thousands got injured, and there were other bombs in hotels as well. But then the big question now that Cardinal Ranjit is bringing up is who actually is behind it. He wants justice. So that is the context in which Father Emmanuel, I have met him personally. He's a great man. He leads the Global Tamil Forum in the world, working from exile. And he's sort of challenging the Christian groups, particularly Catholics at this moment. But he writes about what we were talking, because we are now promoting oneness in our belief, wherever we come from, whatever religions we hold precious to us. He writes like this: as one belonging to the Christian religion, I like to invite the faithful and leaders of all 4 religions in Sri Lanka to go deeper into their own faiths, not only to identify any weakness for evil to thrive, even within the sanctum of their religions, and weed out those evils, but also to fight against these evils present outside the walls of religion in our societies. How did these religions appear on earth? He writes, in looking within our own religions, let us first weed out our misunderstandings about religion. No religion as religion is formulated and founded by God. That's what he says. God remains a nameless, formless, superhuman power, as Albert Einstein says. Behind all the wonders of creation we see and explore. But to man, helplessly wandering and searching for the power beyond, God has revealed himself to all mankind, or all humankind, in various ways and in various times. These revelations to humankind have given birth to various religions among all people, originating from all corners of the earth. Yes, no religion can claim exclusivity of any kind. All religions have taken their origins from some form of revelation and been built up by men with formulas of faith, rituals, and morals. All religions have grown among human beings to help human beings recognize his nature and end, and to help him struggle against the forces of evil and death, and live a morally good life. In short, religions are not at the service of men, not vice versa. In short, religions are at the service of men, not vice versa. So this is what he writes. But then he continues to write to the Catholic Church, or all the churches who are now asking for, recompense in a way. He's asking for forgiveness, just the way Jesus forgave the woman who was about to be stoned to death. So with that, I think what I read resonates with what we are talking. I hand the floor to you, Bala. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you, your passion and your song as well. Thank you.
Do you have slides to present? I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have my iPad to actually project onto this laptop screen. I usually do a share screen, and there is an option to share my iPad actually.
Okay, I stopped sharing. I stopped sharing, so you are co-host, you can share whatever you have.
Excellent. Okay. Okay. What's going on? I don't get the option here. I probably should have tested it before. Okay, yeah, I've done enough effort to actually get this going on. What do we do now? I am unable to share because the option to share an iPad doesn't appear on this particular set of options. Maybe while setting up the Zoom, you may have to tick certain boxes to allow people to share other devices.
Oh, sorry. Who is the host? Is it Ahmad?
The other way I could do is
the host.
What happens?
Host. Who is the host? Ahmad or Colin?
That's the host. Yeah.
So the host. The host at the share screen.
Sorry, I was muted. It's me.
So at the share screen button, there's an option. If you click it, there's an option. Anybody can share.
Multiple persons can share simultaneously. The one?
It allows me to share my laptop screen, but it doesn't allow me to share the iPad actually. So for that, I think there must be something in the advanced setting when setting up the Zoom call. Would it be all right if
sharing option, who can share, all participants?
Do you see an iPad or an iPhone in the options of sharing on your screen?
No, what I see is for the advanced sharing screen, is shaded when it says all participants. who can start.
If it is all participants.
That's okay. So the only way...
Have you logged with your laptop? Because then you should be able to share.
No, I see that I can share only specific apps on the thing. So it asks me whether, but anyway, can I just disconnect and connect back in Zoom in a couple of minutes? I'm going to connect on my iPad instead of connecting from, but which means you will lose the camera because I'm going to, I won't be appearing because I'm using my iPad here. So, okay.
You can leave this one in and share on your Zoom as well.
Hang on. There is another way. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I'll just join on my iPad as well, and then you can.
Yes.
I'll
add yourself into two devices.
Yeah. Okay. The Zoom details.
Once you come in, I will make you host or co-host.
Okay.
So let me name it.
23881. Join. Okay. 18171112. Okay. Join without video.
Okay, I will make you host as well. Oh, you already host on that as well.
Okay, that's fine. Can I?
Yeah. Now you can share.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. It doesn't allow me to share my iPad screen. That's the problem. Yeah, it doesn't allow me to share on my iPad. It doesn't allow me to share the screen. It says I can share some photos or I can share only certain. Okay. How do I?
Must be
How do I get the slides? The way is I have to get the slides onto the PC at least to show you guys, because I've made fairly good effort to get those slides. Once you see those slides, you will know, okay.
Yeah, do that. To transfer them to your laptop and then share.
Okay. Can you give me a minute? I'll just transfer it to the laptop, please.
Sure.
Just arrived in my sister-in-law's place.
Oh, great.
Good to see you. Are you out in the space or on the earth?
On the earth now. Thank you, John. You lost your sister, but in spite of those difficult times, you graciously accepted to continue your role as the master of ceremony.
Yes.
Yes,
okay. Thank you.
Yes. So what happened to your elder sister or younger sister?
So are you in London itself or you're in suburbs?
Yeah, any more than Surrey.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes.
I used to live in London when I was young, doing my university.
Right. Hi, Sachi. Hi, Ali. Hi, Marina. Hi, Perimal. Hi, Jamie. Amy, glad to see you. Gabriel, Jiva, and Jenny. Okay, I think he has joined.
Hello, Eva.
Hi.
You're in London, are you?
Yes, just arrived. Yeah. Just arrived.
You going to Harper?
Dedication to jump straight on.
Pardon?
It's dedication to jump on to the interfaith as you just arrived in London.
Yeah. Actually, from the airport, I connected on the Zoom and I made Colin and I made Colin the host first, and then when Ahmad joined, I made him the host. And when I was driving, I don't have internet. We just came to our in-laws' place. Anyway, thank you, Balavelan, and sorry for all that.
Thank you. Give me a second. I should have tested this before when you connected. I was traveling from office, and therefore I'm trying to get my mind's work properly to get this up and running. In a minute, I will transfer from my iPad to the USB drive, and from the USB, I'll transfer it to the PC. And once you see the see those slides, you will know it is worth it. So please bear with me. And if you have any recording, maybe pause the recording until.
Oh, you can also send the slides in the WhatsApp group. They can share it if that is a better option.
That's what even to do that. My iPad should have an WhatsApp connection, right? So that isn't.
All right, okay.
I paused there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can start. We can see.
Okay. Tiruchitrambalam. Good evening to everyone. It's probably worth the wait. Maybe once we go through this talk, it's quite important information that's being exchanged. Coincidentally, with what Reverend John was trying to talk about, and the meeting did have some scriptures being read, and there were some of the facts that actually would rhyme with whatever I have brought in today, which makes me a bit more comfortable and feel in place, because I'm not talking anything out of place over here. I'm connecting with the people is the most important part. In today's talk, we will actually explore a statement mentioned by Avayar. Avayar is a female poet, an old poet who lived in the timelines are, there are three different Avayars that historians have identified. So this Avayar I'm talking about lived around 4th century to, you can say 31st century BCE. Okay, so before the Common Era. Her statement was, she said, rare and precious it is. It is rare to be born as a human being. So human birth is not an easy to come by. This is as per Saivam's scriptures. So I'm going to actually take this particular statement. I have translated it from Tamil to English for your convenience. We are going to explore why she actually said human birth is rare, and she also said human birth is precious. So let's go into the talk with some usual prayers that we do. We usually pray the God of obstacles to help us to walk through the whole talk. I probably should have prayed him before I actually got into this, so that he would have removed the obstacle of sharing my screen. But hopefully, he will help me to complete this talk, and with his blessings, we are going to go forward. I will try to sing these two stanzas. It's not going to take a minute, but please bear with me. It's going to be in Tamil. Tiruchitrambalam Tiruvakkum Seikarumam Kaikootum Senchol Peruvakkum Peedum Perukkum Uruvakum Adalal Vanorum Mane Mugattane Kadalal Kupuvartam Kai. The next would be to respect my teachers. It is because of them I am actually being able to talk to people and try to explain what I have learned from them. So it is with their blessings I would be actually going forward, and therefore I'm going to say a prayer just for them. Puriyargon vepporitta pugaliyargon kadal potri ஆழிமிசை கல்மிதப்பில் அணைந்த பிரானடி போற்றி வாழி திருநாவலூர் வண் தொண்டர் பதம் போற்றி ஊழிமலி திருவாத ஊரர் திருத்தாள் போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். தன் கடன் அடியேனையும் தாங்குதல் என் கடன் பணி செய்து கிடப்பதே. எல்லாம் வல்ல அருள்மிகு ஒப்பிலா முலையம்மை உடனுரை மாசிலா மணீஸ்வரர் திருவருளாலே அவன் தாழ் வணங்கி அடியேன் இவ்வுரையை தொடங்குகின்றேன். The next would be setting up the floor. I would actually say these two as a speaker because in my opinion, every time I sit for a discourse, I sit for a talk, I would definitely look forward to these aspects. That helps me actually get the right knowledge, identify the right knowledge, and then go forward. In Saiva scriptures, there are three main tests to know if it is the correct knowledge or not, if it's the true knowledge or not. So the first test would be, is the statement that is being said by someone, is it actually mentioned in the reference text? Which means anything I say in this talk today, it must be mentioned somewhere in the Vedas, Agamas, Tirumurai, Tirukural, Tirupugal, or Avvayar scriptures, etc. Now, there are qualified scriptures, and it is only from them I would be able to quote. What it really means is, say for example, we take Tirukural, and we take Avvayar, and we take Tirumurai. Now the statements said in these scriptures, although the acharyas or the gurus lived in different centuries, in different periods of time, they would definitely rhyme with their facts, because one statement said in a Tirukural will be corroborated with a statement is similar in meaning in Avvayar's song somewhere, or it will be corroborated by a Tirumurai said by some Nayanmars, or it will be present in the Vedas, or it will be present in the Agamas. So this is the first test. Anything I say must be quoted from what the scriptures quote. If I don't do it, if it is something else, then it must come under the intelligence quotient aspect, which means if I apply an intelligence quotient and then interpret that particular statement, I should come at the same conclusion as the listener if he applies the same way, and then he would also arrive at the same conclusion. So it should be either present in the reference text, or using the IQ, it will lead to the same derived conclusion, or it should be identifiable using one's own experience. So which means if I have experienced, my listener also should be able to experience the same. So any statement that is said in Shaivam should pass all these three tests mentioned above. So this is a disclaimer that I'm placing before I actually start my talk. Now, why do I say this? Because if you don't understand anything, then it's not a sin. But if you misunderstand something, then it is a sin. Meaning that Shaivam always values something not to be misunderstood, but should be correctly understood going forward. Otherwise, the birth is actually not justified. So these are from the scriptures. I'm trying to say this. These facts are in the scriptures. The next disclaimer would be called as Antagaja Nyaya. Now, this Antagaja Nyaya is also available in other countries and other languages. And they call, there is a Wikipedia entry on it, and you could go and Google blind elephant Maxim. And it will say there is this called as Antagaja Nyaya, where I'll explain what this Nyaya is, what this Maxim is. There is an elephant, and there are 7 blind men who are trying to touch, feel, and then identify what are they actually trying to see. Basically, they can't see it, so they don't know if it is an elephant or not. So one touches the leg, he says it is a pillar of a house. And the other one touches the trunk, he says it is a snake. One touches the ears, and he says it looks like some sort of a fan. And some touches the tail, he says it's the rope. Now, because these blind men can't see what they are actually touching and feeling, they actually come to a conclusion that their description is always the right one. So the maxim is basically used in cases where an imperfect or an impartial or a one-sided view or a conclusion is taken with insufficient background information. So my job as a disclaimer is I have to be making it very, very clear we are not like blind men touching the elephant today, okay? So we are with fully open eyes, we are going to know that it is an elephant in the room and we are going to address it, right? So with these two disclaimers, I'm going to go forward with my outline of what I'm going to talk today. So first is I'm going to set the background. What is a religion? Now, there is a reason why I try to define what a religion should be. And then from there, I take a step down saying we'll look at the Avayar song where it actually says human birth is rare. Then if so, how many types of birth are there? Which scripture says it? So is that corroborated in science? So we're going to explore that. If human births are there and there are other births, and we say human birth is much more precious than the others, how is it rare and precious? We're going to explore that, and we're going to come to a conclusion. So that would be the way in which this talk is going to progress, right? So what is a religion? Now, a religion should address 3 things in detail. Now, how in detail it addresses, that powerful is that particular religion. So if we take all our religions, all our faiths today, they will all have scriptures that in detail, the original scriptures in detail will address these 3 things very clearly. Now, these 3 things are actually, they are all studies in master's degree. You can do a master's degree in each topic, actually. To that extent, they are very deep and they're very profound. And therefore, a religion would actually define them in a very, very clear way. So the first thing is theology. Theology is the study of the supreme God. The second would be ontology. The ontology would be the metaphysics dealing with the nature of the soul. So if you have the science of the soul or study of the soul, then that's called ontology. Then the third will be cosmology, okay? The cosmology is the study of the cosmos. So usually these are the 3 aspects that will be clearly defined in a religion. What we are going to do now is take ontology and then go and learn ontology 101 in Saivam. Basically, this ontology is going to talk about the soul, but I am actually going to talk about a human birth, which is the soul takes different births. So in that, one of them is the human birth, and we're going to see being born as a human, how precious is it or rare is it? So with this setting, with look at ontology, we go and look at Avayar's statement. I've translated it in English for you, but I've presented the scripture as well. I said, whatever I say today should be there in the Shruti, which means should be there in the scriptures. So this poem is like a conversation between God and the poet. Okay, the God is he's the with the Lord with the spear. So I have pasted a picture that shows how the conversation is happening. The God is asking the poet, which or what is the rarest in this earth? Then the poet answers, if you ask me what is the rarest thing, then my Lord with spear, here it is. Being born as a human is rare. As a human, it is rarer to be born without being dumb, deaf, a humpback, or blind. This is a literal translation of the statement. So which actually means being born as a human is rare. The next is, as a human, being born without any disability is even rarer. Then she goes further down the step. Even if born without disabilities, it is rarer to have knowledge and education. Even if one has good knowledge and education, it is rarer to be a charitable and an ascetic person. If a person with all those qualities is charitable and ascetic in all his life, then the gates of heaven will open to him. This is the way in which the poem concludes. And her answer is, she answers that the rarest is a charitable and ascetic person is the rarest to find, which is what we find in our own experience as well. And being born as a human is very rare is a statement which I have highlighted in blue. And we're going to expand this particular statement or explore the statement with reasons as to why she said that. So why is the human form rare? Let's set the scene. Let's make the question now much more. If I ask you all now, say if a couple of people can answer me, why do you think a human form is a rare? Why do you think a human form is human species are very rare? If anyone can unmute and answer, then I'll try to explain how it can be approached. Any take, any guess? Why is
we could say we are the apex of creation nature.
Okay, so we are the apex of creation. That's a very good answer. Okay, then next. Anybody, any other answer?
Could we say, Bala, human beings have the rational mind?
So you're saying their ability to reason?
Reason, yep.
Okay, so they have an ability to reason. That is good. Then?
We are the only one with a soul. We are the only, human beings are the only one with a soul.
Okay.
That comprehend and understand, yeah.
Okay.
I think that God made human in the image of himself. It's according to the Bible. You know, the God creator that make Adam and Eve or create human as an image as himself, like image of the God.
Right. Okay.
So it's rare, but then human create themselves superior human or not superior human. They're like human race, superior or not?
Yeah, it's about the race. So we are going to talk about compare human race versus other species, basically. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to throw open how many species are there and then how science looks at it. This is with scientific evidences as well. So it's going to surprise you, but your answers are great. And it actually sets the scene. What happens is from now on, I'll try to, if there are many more answers, I'll get the answers. But what I'm going to do is what my professor does. This is what my maths professor does. He does in the university. When he was teaching like really complicated concepts, like say calculus, for example, he'll come to the class. He will write on the board. He will just simply jot down problem and then try to explain a solution, then he will say, I'm going to confuse you. Okay, and then he will confuse the students. And then he will say, the job of a teacher is actually to clarify the students, but I have actually now confused you guys. Why do you think I did that? And then we all like, we don't know why you confused us, because we are already scared about this particular subject. And if you confuse us, it's going to be even more scary. And so why would you do that? Then his statement is, after confusion comes clarity. Okay. So with that human forms being rare, I'm just going to confuse these answers that you gave me a little bit so that you can actually have a second thought. Did all the humans organize a world conference and then made an official announcement that human species are rare or superior? Because that one is the question that I would ask if when someone said the human species are in the apex, who decided? Say, for example, tomorrow, all the lions, they gather together and conduct a conference, they would declare lions are the most superior species than the humans. Well, when humans go to the jungle to meet the lion, they're not going to be comfortable with it. So my point is, who declared it? Did the man self-proclaim that he is the superior of all the other species? That's the question to think about. Let's think about another scenario. Let's take the eagle, for example. The eagle has the ability to fly. The humans can't fly. Not only that, the eagles can fly at the highest of heights you can imagine. So it flies really tall on top of the world, somewhere about near the clouds. But the quality of the eagle is, even from that height, it can see the prey and it can accurately fly down, quickly take the prey, and then fly up. For us, even to see nearby people, we need spectacles. Our eyesight is not that powerful, right? So in what way, by abilities, is man being superior over here? He's not. He can't fly either. Now let's take another scenario, a dog versus human, right? Let's take a forensic science. There is an investigation officer. He's trying to investigate a crime scene. And then he tries to apply all his master's degree in forensics and his study in forensics and all that, and tries to arrive at a conclusion, and then goes and refers to the dog, which is another evidence. And the dog sniffs out what is going on, and it gives him another conclusion. So he takes the dog's conclusion, he takes his conclusion. What does the forensic science say is, if the dog's conclusion and the officer's conclusion contradict each other, then the dog's conclusion overrides. The officer has to redo the investigation, which means he's done master's degree, he has applied all his knowledge and he has applied all his abilities. He has come to a conclusion that this is what must have happened. The dog contradicts him, then he has to redo the investigation because the dog has contradicted the conclusion. So in what way is the man superior over here? So let's take a crow versus human. We actually have a folklore, a story being told to us. Every year, a kindergarten kid is told this particular story. A crow was thirsty once, and then it actually was flying around to find water. It finds a pot, and there is some water in it, and the water is below somewhere the crow can't reach. So what the crow does is it actually takes some pebbles around, throws it into the pot. When it throws it into the pot, the water level rises slowly. So as the water level comes up, the crow drinks the water and flies away, which means the crow now has the ability to reason. Now the point is, this is not just a folklore. You can go to the YouTube and then type a crow and water or crow and bottle of water or something like that. You can find a video in real where a crow goes to a bottle and then tries to put some pebbles in it, gets the water up, and then drinks the water from the bottle and then flies away. There is a real video I could have shown you here, but the point is, anybody can, by own experience, find this particular story on YouTube videos. Now, there is another YouTube video that is very common as well, is that a crow is trying to break a nut. So it can't break this nut. It tries to poke with its beak and it can't break it. So what it does is it throws the shell in the traffic. It expects the vehicles to run over the nut and then break it for the crow so that it can pick the seed, pick the thing inside, and then it can have a snack and then fly away. This has been repeatedly done by this crow, and then they have taken a video of it and then they have uploaded it on social media. Now, all these observations actually is going to confuse us, right? Now, someone said it has an ability to reason. Someone said it is on the apex. Someone said it is having, humans are superior in terms of, they have the sixth sense or something like that. Now, the point is, in Shaivam, basically, what we have is humans have the sixth sense, agreed. But there are beings in other worlds as well. So there are heaven and earth, there are heaven and hell being defined in scriptures. So there are beings living in the heaven and there are beings living in the hell as well. Are we saying that humans are superior, or is Avayar actually saying that humans are superior to the beings on the celestial, or are they inferior to the celestial beings? So that is another question we're going to explore now, and then find out why is this particular statement pretty important and why did she say what she's saying. So let's get into further exploration. We are going to find out how many types of birth are there. What does the Veda says? What does the Agama says? What are the references in the Tamil scriptures? There are 4 means of birth, okay? And we can know this from our own intelligence quotient. We can apply our own experience, and then we can see around. And this is what science will also corroborate, that there are 4 means of birth. One is from the eggs. And the second one is coming from the sweat. The third one is coming from the seeds. The fourth one is coming from the womb. Now, we know the eggs, we can say birds, chicken. Yeah, we have found eggs to be the means by which a life is born. Next, we talk about sweat. So what is the sweat? We see organisms like fungus, for example. It is born out of sweat. They don't have a seed. They don't come from an egg or something. They don't have a womb to be born out of. So they come from the sweat. Then the next one is the seeds. So we know that the plants and trees, they all actually grow from the seed. A life is born out of a seed now. And then we know we are all born from the womb. So we are the example of this particular fourth means of birth. Now the life forms can also be classified into 7 types. Okay, the types of birth based on means we can classify it into 4. Based on types, what we find: trees and plants, worms and reptiles, aquatic life, birds, animals, humans, celestial beings. So what does the scriptures actually say? There is a scriptures I can actually straight away quote, but because of language being in English and all that, I just made a statement. So you got to trust me. Anybody wants to question this, I can show them the scripture where it actually says that how many life forms are there on this earth. That is their estimate. Okay, these scriptures have been written centuries old, and then they have come out and said, in how many different bodies can you find these souls? In how many different forms life actually is born, or in how many different life forms or how many different species can you actually find on this earth? The scriptures ballpark the amount to 8.4 million. There are 8.4 million species in this earth. Now, this is from the scriptures, right? Now, the first 2 that I said, the means of birth and the types of birth, yes, you can corroborate it from science. But the third one, the number of species that the scriptures say, can you corroborate it from the science? Well, let's see. There is a journal article in nature.com. You can find out this journal as well, or in the PLOS Biology, which is a standard science journal site for the biology students, the scientific reference says that there are some mathematical studies being done, and their conclusion in that paper is that the number of species, science ballparks, is around 8.7 million. Okay, so which is pretty close, right? I mean, you're not talking miles of difference between the numbers. That was 8.4 million, and this is 8.7 million here. Okay, so we do have science along with us, and we do have the scriptures, and I am not speaking in the air without any proofs or evidences. So let's go further. This is from the Tamil grammar, and I'm just going to show the song. We're not going to go into detail, but I've done it in English for your convenience. This particular song, actually, it's not a song, it's called as an aphorism. It's like a formula. It's like an aphorism. It's like a statement or a law, where the Tamil grammar book classifies life forms based on the senses. So we have we are known to have 6 senses. So how about life forms in other senses, like ones that have 5 senses, ones that have 4, ones that have 3, ones that have 2, and ones that have 1? What are those life forms? What life forms are there in each senses? That is what we're going to look for based on the aphorism from the Tamil grammar Tolkappiyam. So life form which has 1 sense, the first sense is the sense of touch. So the life form, which means if we next time we actually look at the plants, next time we have a look at the trees and all that, we must remember they have a sense of touch. They are classical examples of 1 sense life forms. They actually feel, they can actually break a rock when they actually use the root to go and explore for water. They can feel the heat in the sun. So the next time we pluck a leaf or we try to squeeze the plant or whatever, then we need to be sure that they also have a sense. They can sense hot, they can sense cold, they can sense hard, and they can sense soft. Just like the entire body of us has the sense of touch, trees, they have the sense of touch too. The next is the 2 senses organisms. They are worms. For example, earthworms. They can be classical examples of 2 senses organisms, life forms. They, in addition to feeling the sense of touch, they also have a sense of taste. So they can feel sweet, sour, salty, spicy, bitter. Yes. Now 3 senses, it's going to use the nose, tongue, and the body. So they have 3 now. Which means they have a fragrance and they can smell pungent along with taste and the touch. Then the 4 senses, which are eyesight, we can, with the eyesight, basically, we can see colors, we can see sizes, we can see shapes. So that's the most important sense as far as we just talked about, the blind elephant Maxim. Where the eyes were pretty important to know what the facts are. 5 senses is the ears, so which is going to be sound and voice. And then the 6th sense is the mind. So the mind allows us to question and reason whatever we come across. Human forms have 6 senses, but this is not the reason why they are superior, basically. So we're going to see why they are superior by logical deduction. Now, why are the human birds rare? Why are the human forms rare? I'm quoting this from the Saiva references, the Saiva scriptures, the Vedas, and Agamas. Now, the fundamentals of Hinduism is that there are multiple births a soul will take. Okay. One of the answers we received when I asked why is the human life form is someone said the human form has a soul, other life forms maybe not. I was trying to recollect that over in this particular context is that the body for the soul can be any way different. It can be a plant, a soul can be born as a plant, a soul can be born as a worm, or it can be born as a bird or an animal or a human. It all depends on certain rules in Hinduism. Now, not only that, they have only one birth. Hinduism actually believes in multiple births. So this is a statement from a Saivam poet, Avayar, and therefore we got to take it in that context and then see what the Saivam scriptures say. So there are multiple births a soul will take, yet human birth is not attained in any particular order. So which means someone said the human birth is at the apex. It is not so. It is not like a evolution where I am born as a plant first, and then I live for some time, and then I'm born as a worm. Then after some time, I just elevate myself to being a bird, then elevate myself to being an animal, and then I come to a human. And after human, now I can't really guarantee myself I'm going to be a celestial being next. The point is, there is also no preset condition that my actions will actually determine a human birth. So say, for example, I do a lot of philanthropic activities now. There is no chance that a human can be the next birth after a soul dies at this particular birth. When it dies, there is no way you can guarantee based on the actions or the karma that the next birth will be a human birth. Karma determines the birth, but in no particular order. Which birth type a life form takes is determined by the karma calculation resulting from countless births, basically. So which means I would have born 1,000 births later, I am now a human. For example, let us say, as a hypothetical, just for reasoning, which means I am a human form because in some birth, maybe the first one, maybe the third one, I did some action wherein I did deserve to be being born as a human, but I didn't get that chance until the 999. But God decided, okay, now you have earned the chance to be born as a human. Okay, now you're a human now in this particular birth. Now it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in an order. It happens with the Supreme himself deciding what could be the birth a life form will take. Therefore, what I'm trying to conclude here is there is no guarantee an average human being will be born as a human in the next birth. So let's revisit the first slide and then see how it's rare. I showed you that there are 8.7 million species, and humans are a very, very small portion of this 8.7 million types, right? You could be born as other species, okay? And they could be having different senses, and then the human have the 6 senses, but there is no particular order you're going to be born. There's no guarantee that I can be born as a human, okay? So the next is, why is it precious? It is rare, of course. We can actually deduce from the logical reasoning that I showed you. So many life forms are there. Human is only a small part. No particular order it can be born. There are countless births a life form is going to take. That is the Saiva scriptures say, and the Vedas and Agamas say. So basically, it is very rare that I got this birth as a human this particular time. But why is it precious? Now, what does the scripture say is, this is not my statement. This is from the scriptures. I have translated it in English, or I have reasoned out in English, whatever I have read and learned. Only in this human form, you have the ability to earn the karma. Now, this is a very deep statement. What it means is, if you're born as a tiger or a lion, and then you're born, I mean, say, for example, I'm not going to name animals here, but I'm going to say you're born as a carnivore. How many ever times a carnivore actually kills a herbivore in order to have food, the karma will not rise in its count. So which means the killings that the animals actually do not count for whatever karma they earn. They can't. They are there to spend the karma that they have earned in the previous birth. They are not there to earn any karma during their birth. Only in the human form, there is a chance to, that is why the 6th sense is there. It tells you, you can earn a good karma or you can earn a bad karma. Other births are given only to spend. Now, only in this human form, a soul gets all the prescribed parts of the body to worship God. Now, let's take, for example, you're going to go to the church and you pray God. You have a specific posture to actually kneel down, and then you actually say your prayers. If you take Islam, they have a very specific posture some people equate the postures that they do while praying to actually a yoga being done in Hinduism or something like that. And we can all these similarities can also be observed in our own experience, that it is only the humans who can actually do these things. Now, if we talk about what about the monkeys, they are pretty close to the humans. Yeah, that's a good point. The humans have hands, they have fingers. The monkeys have hands, the monkeys have fingers, but there is a difference. The humans have an opposing thumb. Okay, the monkeys do not. So there are certain postures, there are certain aspects that we actually do in the name of religion, and whatever those aspects that we do are very unique to the human forms. They are not unique to any other life forms. So it is very important that the human form that you have got is not only rare, but very precious, because you have these qualities. Okay, how about celestial beings? You said all the animals, 5 senses, no problem, we understand. They can't earn the karmas. Let's take the prescribed parts of the body. Yes, we have the right parts of the body to worship God in a specific way. Agreed. Then let's go to the celestial beings. Are they much more superior to us? Now, this is what the scriptures in Saiva says, that if the celestial beings want to actually attain mukti or the moksha or salvation, they have to come back to earth, be born as a human, worship the temple, and then take the pathway to earn the right karma to go and attain the mukti. Therefore, even the celestial beings, although they have gone up and elevated to heaven, they are much superior in terms of whatever powers they have got and things like that. Their objective is still to attain God, and to attain God, they have to come down to earth once, and then they worship the God, and then go and reach the Almighty, the feet of the Almighty. So to make the maximum use of this particular birth, our job is basically, the human form's objective basically is to worship God and stay focused towards Him all the life, and then see if it can actually earn His blessings and then attain His feet or salvation. This is what we have been telling in the scriptures that was read like a few minutes ago when we started this particular talk, right? So what is the conclusion then? Like I said, the human births are rare. The human births are precious for certain reasons, which we actually didn't know about before. This is what the Vedas and Agamas say. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that being born as a human form that we are now, and having all the education that we all have now, our job is basically to stay focused towards the Supreme Being or God. So what happens when you stay focused towards God? You actually start to see godliness in everything. In a way, the scriptures actually, in any religion I'm saying, will always make you see your own family as a God-given entity, basically. The God, based on your own karma, has probably given that particular family or anything around just for you to learn. But when you're staying focused towards the God, you always see not the bad things in them, but the godliness in them. This is the primary difference between being a human and being another life form. So that is what I was actually trying to stress. When I was asked to give me a topic, what we need to talk in today's session, I was thinking hard, and should I go into deeper concepts of Shaiva scriptures, or these are not a learning session to actually exhibit the superiority of a scripture or something. My point was, looking at the world, we need more harmony here. We need more love and respect given by people to one another. So therefore, what is the only way is to actually see the godliness in them, and therefore the harmony is going to prevail. The more we think about God, the less we will actually think about the disturbances that surround us, basically. So that amount of focus is needed in order to treat the fellow human beings with respect and promote harmony. And that is why I tried to stress the fact that the human life forms are very precious, they are very rare, and therefore treat this particular life that we have right now with respect. Why? Because life is too short. The volume of corrections you want to apply to your own mistakes is pretty huge. And you want to live the life to the best with God's blessings, and therefore stay focused towards him like we do in these kinds of meetings. We talk about him, we think about him, we actually try to take home the godliness aspect. And then when we go and see people after the session that we have been in, we actually feel much more positive, and then we see the godliness in everybody we see around. So this conclusion, I would like to quote whatever NASA has quoted. You know, it is not just me who is quoting this Avayar. When you go to the nasa.gov website, NASA quotes Avayar. I've taken a portion from this particular website from NASA, web page from NASA. That is, the website address is right on the top in a tiny character. What it actually quotes is whatever Reverend John just mentioned in the beginning. So it's like God's coincidence. When he talked about continuous learning, he said whatever we have learned is like a fistful of soil and like a beach sand or something. This is what the scripture is actually saying. Whatever we have learned so far is like a handful of soil, handful of earth. Whatever we are yet to learn is the entire soil contained in this world. So which means we have a lot more to learn. What we have learned is only a fistful. Okay. So with this being said, I conclude my talk, and I'm now open for questions. I would try to answer as much as possible to all your questions based on what I've talked today.
Thank you, Bala. It's heart-searching as well as mind-searching, and it shows that you are a scholar, and at the same time you are a learner, and want us to learn ourselves. So I'll open the floor for questions, and I will ask Colin, will you take over from here, being the MC, if you don't mind?
Thank you very much, John. And Siva, I see your hand is up.
Okay, I thank John for being MC so far, and also thank Balavelan for your effort in preparing this talk and explaining the cyber concepts of God, soul, and the world, and to bring harmony among all the different religions. I just wondered, just a question for the benefit of the audience. You mentioned about Tolkapiam. How old is Tolkapiam?
In Tamil literary research, Tolkapiam is said to be in the third era of Tamil Sangam. The Tamil research was done in 3 different time periods. There is a first time period, the second time period, and the third time period. The third time period ended around, I can talk about BC and AD, which we are actually more familiar about. And the Avayar scriptures, they would be around 31 BC, but the Tolkapiam is slightly before. Some people say it is 2 AD. Some of them say it could be around 500 BC. So it somewhere varies between 500 BC to 2 AD. And I would ballpark it as not like a year, but I would say it is in the third Tamil era of Tamil research. So the third era of Tamil research actually ended around 2 AD or something like that. So I would say it is somewhere before 2 AD. So that means it's more than 2,000 years old Tamil grammar.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Bala. And one thing you said that resonated, see godliness in others, and then respect and harmony will come. And that sounds like a universal principle, which we're always looking for a point of unity that we can build on, and then try to understand what the rest of the beliefs, and that sounds very fundamental to me. So yeah, that resonated. But I did have a question, because I haven't heard of Shaivism. Is it called Shaivism?
Yes, Shaivism. Yep. It's yep.
Yeah, just wondering, is it an independent world religion, or would Hindus regard it as a Hindu religion?
Okay, so this Hinduism, you can actually call it as the language that everybody understands. Okay, so there is nothing like there is a superior table and an inferior table or anything like that. What basically one has to do to understand this better is, although we talk about a lot of terminologies, the outside world can only understand certain jargons. Okay, so whatever the outside, say for example, the British who came to India, or the Portuguese or the French, when we have the aspects of religion taken from India to the outside world, and they want to call it, they called it as Hinduism. Okay, but there are various portions of worships that are there. Okay, Shaivism will mean that they consider Shiva to be the supreme being, and then they actually talk about the theology or the theodicy based on Shiva being the supreme. Okay, he is the god of. In fact, if I try to tell you this, when someone talks about Hinduism, they say that, oh, there are three different work being done in Hinduism. One is creation, another one is the preservation, and another one is destruction. There is God of destruction, there is God of preservation, there is God of creation, and all that. But actually in Shaivism, where you go into much detail, there are actually 5 jobs being done. One is called as creation, the other one is preservation. Next is not a destruction. There is nothing that is destroyed being here, considered here. So next one is actually creation is being born, and then destruction, what we can call it as close as possible, is going back to where you came from. And then I told you it's going to take like multiple births. So it's going to go take a new birth now. And therefore there are 2 other jobs that are done where in Shaivam, the 4th job would be the soul is actually concealed from knowing what happened in the previous birth when it goes to the next birth. And the soul doesn't know which birth it is going to from the current birth. So this is particularly, this fact is being concealed by God. The soul will not know where it is going. And it is God who decides where the soul will go based on the karma calculations, as I said. And then the next is it gets the blessing of the God to be born again. And that is the 5th one. So Shaivism is that particular branch where it actually talks out in detail about Shiva being the supreme. But if you take Vainavam is the next part of Hinduism, you can say, where the god of preservation or Vishnu is considered the supreme. Then there are other faiths wherein they have different sects, like you have different sects in Christianity. There are different sects in Hinduism as well. This is the simplest I can explain about the meaning of Shaivism and Hinduism.
It was very good, very easy to understand. Thank you, Bala. Yung. But you're muted, Yung.
Yeah, I undo. Thank you so much, Balavelan. I thought that I came to visit one temple Hinduism when I was a student, when I was very young, freshman, and I saw so many people stood in front of a temple, and I did not know that temple, so I was curious. And thank you very much for your explanation tonight. What you say is about human beings were born as a precious gift that God gave them. But in real life, there's a lot of, as I heard from social media and newspaper, there are a few group of people, they did not appreciate how they were born. A lot of people said that I don't want to be born. We don't want to be born. We were born without our knowledge. So they really didn't know what's going on. And so your teaching apply to educated people, but there's some people, they're not religious and they don't really know about religion or any of these precious texts that you present to us. It is very safe when you say something because you had references and you based on the prophet's writing. So it's very safe for you to say something and for us to understand something. But a lot of people, they did not want to attend to study Bible or anything. They just resentful because they said, oh, my life is not so good. My parents are not rich and I'm struggle with life. So I didn't want to be born. So how you rescue all these people? Because I heard one of your speech, you talk about salvation. So you mentioned about salvation and how you're gonna do about it. When you say life is continuous learning, it's a sort of like us, we study business, so we know it's a total quality management concept. But with the people who hasn't got access to continuous learning, how you open the salvation path for them?
Okay. Yeah, very profound question. Okay, now I told a very simple statement and then I just moved on saying that in Hinduism, the fundamental is multiple births. Why do you think the supreme being or the God is giving multiple births to the soul? Why would you think? Why would you take a wild guess? Why do you think the multiple births are being given? What is the objective then? What is God trying to do there? Now let's think about this particular question from the aspect of God. Say like you're God today, right? And you want to answer your own question, let us say, like how are we going to open the path to salvation to those people? So which means you have an ability to give multiple births to the soul, and therefore, what will you do in order to move them to the path of salvation? I'm putting the question back to you, saying you have the quality or the ability, the power to give multiple births to the soul. You are God now. And you tell me that I have different souls with different thought processes. One of them is actually being very religious. On the other extreme, there are people who think they should not be born at all, but you need the path to salvation. What would you do in that situation?
I think one of the basic element concept about God is compassion and mercy. So if people are so sick, obviously, you know, like not everybody, like you say, born with 6 senses. They may only have 2 senses. 2 senses or 3 senses, they're not having everything. So what you're saying is, one of the quote, you don't mind if I analyze this with you as a business analyst. Misunderstanding is a sin.
Okay.
But if you are an educator, I'm talking to you like you are my professor. Okay, if I'm misunderstanding something or somebody misunderstanding something, will you allow them to have time to study the subject again?
Yes.
I mean, and help to clarify, them, and that is salvation also, you know?
Right. So the point is this. So what actually is God doing is basically we from the childhood, right? We are always actually in Hinduism, this one actually is very valid. The point is they see gods with weapons. Right now, I showed a god with a spear in his hand, and then Lord Shiva has the trident in his hand. They have like a big, like a lion being their vehicle. So these are all not scary aspects. They are not here to punish any soul. God never punishes anybody, basically. What is being done over here is, I'll give you a simple analogy where, say, really small kids, like very young kids, like around 2 years old, they're trying to go to a swimming school. Okay. What does the teacher do? he actually throws the kid in the water straight away. You could see this in certain videos. The kids will know how to swim. They know how to survive in the water. Basically, the person cannot put the swimming knowledge into the kid at all. It is the kid who has to find out that knowledge and then come up, right? So throws them in the water. Some of them actually try to breathe and then they come up. They have the ability to show. Some of them, they can't, they try to sink. But the teacher, the swimming teacher, never interferes. He never goes and holds on to the child and then see to that the child is not sinking. If the child is going to a position where it's going to be dangerous to its life, then he will interfere. He will come down, give a helping hand, pull it up. And then he will leave it again. And then the kid is going to learn, okay, so if I come up, I know how to breathe. That is the first thing it learns. Then it will try to come up again. Then it will try to stay up. That's the next part. So apply this analogy to the way in which multiple births are happening. The God over here right now is doing is, he's giving you a chance. He's giving you chances again and again. If I'm a person so bad, I've done so many bad karmas, I have only bad karmas accumulated on one big pile, then what is being done is it is being given a chance again to be born, but as a life form that will spend those karma. Say, I have done good karma. I have piled up the good karma, bad karma, zero. Go to a celestial being or come back to earth, spend the good karma. You will be the richest person. Everything comes easy to you. You have best knowledge. You have the best life. Spend the karma and then go. Then what is he actually trying to do? If you have good karma, you get the birth again. You have the bad karma, you also get the birth again. So what happens? At one particular point of time, the life form will say, I'm tired of living in this world. I need to focus on God. Now, there are 16 participants in this particular talk. All these 16 participants decided this particular evening, I'm not going to enjoy life. I'm not going to do a bad karma in life. I'm going to be focused towards God. This is what he wants the life forms to learn. Now that you have learned that there is a God and you can be staying focused at him, the next multiple births will be going closer towards him because all these karma will be added in your account. So this is how God is actually raising his children, basically. So when you have kids at home, see, for example, I'll tell you a very easy example in my personal life. I took my family, my wife and my 2-year-old son to a friend's house. My son was, our house is very small. It's not very clean. I don't have any toys, but this friend's house that I have gone to is so huge. There are friends to play. There are so many toys to play with. He decided to stay there. And it was our time to leave the house and go to our place. And he was not leaving. He's going to make a huge scene. He's going to cry. And he's going to say, I'm not going to leave this place. So you know what my wife did? She did a very easy thing. Like it was very, very clever thing that she did is that she went, she took a handbag. And then from there, she pulled out his favorite snack. And then she showed him. She said to him, if you come with me, I have a lot like this at home. You want it? And then he left all those toys and then he went behind her. And we took her back to our house. Okay? Apply this analogy. We are coming to this earth and deciding, oh, this earth is so beautiful. I'm going to stay here, right? But at one particular point of time, you realize, no, I need to go somewhere else. I stay focused and I want to go attain the path of salvation. And therefore, that education helps you to go closer and closer towards him. And that is what is really happening. Okay, so that is how the concept of God must be visualized.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bala. You got a very good examples there because I was one of the first kid that got thrown into the ocean when I was 8 years old to learn swimming. To learn swimming. So they took me the first kid and threw me into the ocean. And I was, like you said, try to survive. And I was only 8 years old. Yeah,
so that's it. So that's how that is how the life is also. The God is also giving you that. So he's showing you the path. He's showing you that there's a faith. You go there, you think about me. That's it. And you have the knack of getting things done now, but on the way in which he expects you to do, right?
Thank you, Young. I'll hand over to Ahmed now.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Colin, I think you said that you want to have to go, and also, anyway, thanks, Bala. I have a better understanding of life form, senses, and knowledge that you presented. I have two questions. One of them is about, you showed a picture of the elephant and those people around it, and show different parts of it. How can we understand or grasp that this concept of reincarnation that you were explaining is the true understanding from those holy scriptures? Like, for example, to me, the reincarnation concept is true, but it's totally different to what you were describing. So is there a way of finding the truth from these holy scriptures that leads to what you're saying? Because I don't see it that way. So maybe you should talk about the first question, and then because, for example, to me, reincarnation is return of the spirit coming to this world to educate humanity, to progress humanity. Rather in individual humans to have continuous births. So this is my understanding of reincarnation, rather than what was explained. Want to talk about this before I give you the second question.
Okay.
See, in that picture, you have the elephant, and each one of those humans are describing different parts of it. Now we have the scriptures, Hindu scriptures, the holy scriptures of God that talk about incarnation. And how can we understand it the way you're describing? How can we get that elephant out of it, rather than having our own understanding of it?
Now, so is this your only question, and you have another question as well, and you want me to answer this first and then you want to go to the next, is it?
Yeah, I think it's better to do one at a time.
Right, okay. So let us talk about three things that I said as well. So one is, I told you this is in the scriptures, and therefore it is in the Shruti, or it's mentioned in the Vedas and Agamas, and how the rebirths take place and things like that, right? Multiple births that happen, you can understand even using your intelligence quotient, because you have asked me saying, hey, you have so many scriptures. We have our own scriptures. There are scriptures in Buddhism. There are scriptures in Christianity. You have your Hindu scriptures, but there are so many sects in Hinduism itself. One sect says that these are the scriptures for them, and there is another sect which says maybe the two sects can contradict each other in their own way as well. I don't know. Now, I cannot use that scriptures as the first test, although I accept they say it, but how can we know for sure? So that means you have to start applying the next, which is your intelligence quotient. Now, when you say reincarnation, or when I say multiple birth, right? We all know that we are all equal in the eyes of God, right? So which means we do not see which means God cannot see us as how we are. He is going to see beyond us. For example, let's put it this way. I told you another statement as well. You keep focused on God, you will be able to see the godliness in people. Now, everybody accepts it. Yeah, I do feel that. I experience that as well. I treat everyone with the godliness in them, right? So, which means we have a unification code. We don't need to differentiate people on race. We don't need to differentiate people on the kind of life they are. We can actually look at everything and see the godliness in them. For example, let's take a dog. The dog is so faithful to the master. So many people love their dogs. They look at the godliness in the dog. That is why they love it so much. So, which means there is a uniform language or uniform coding rule which says that all the life forms are equal. Likewise, let's shift the viewpoint. Now, let's see how the God is seeing every one of us. He is going to see not me as Balavelan or Siva Peri, or he is not going to see like that. He is going to see the soul that has taken this particular body and come down to the earth to spend or earn its karma, right? So that means to him, a tree, a worm, a lion, a human, all are the same because he's only seeing the soul in them. He's not seeing the body in them. What is happening over here is that one life form has got 5 or 6 sensors. You have lots of sensors in your watch. Likewise, we have 6 sensors wherein we can actually have the 5 senses to see, touch, and all that. And then we have the ability to reason too, which is what we are doing now. But there are certain life forms where that particular sense is turned off. So this is, if you start thinking about it, apply your intelligence quotient, every religion will come into this particular conclusion. My belief is, this is how I believe. If you go and read the highest scriptures and go to a deeper understanding, because we are only scratching the surface. We are all the time talking about harmony, but there are very deep scriptures and expansions written by saints where they are, which means they are much more powerful than us in one way, where they have translated what is happening to an easier understanding for us in the form of scriptures for us to read. So when you apply that particular viewpoint where God sees us as the same, that means the reincarnation is not only for a human to be born as a human again. You know, what is the reason? What did I do so special in this birth that I should be born as a human? I did some bad things in some particular birth form, let us say. Now, what is the guarantee in that birth form? I would have been reincarnated again to a much better one. What did I do? There has to be some qualification levels wherein so that particular one is not being decided. We don't know in which birth I'm going to be born as a human again. That is actually left to the God. So we really can't evaluate that either. So applying an intelligence quotient is the next thing, and then one's own experience. Like I said, this intelligence quotient thing explanation also contains some experiences where you can see this in every place. That, you know, there is nothing special. I could be born as a bird, like I would wish to be born as a bird, you know. But there are other supernatural aspects that we see. You know, some people recollect what happened in their previous births. Some people, there are some, I don't know, there could be some dog actually talking about whatever, it found some house or something, it stayed in its previous birth or something. There are so many stories being told on the internet. What I'm trying to say is, don't see them as stories, see them as clues. Maybe that will help you experience what the scriptures might say or should say, or what they would have said. Because we only have a knowledge up to a certain limitation. The more we read, the more our ignorance goes off. So, I mean, to this extent, I can answer you. But anything further, you will have to come and start reading the scriptures that I have read, because I am able to see it.
Well,
maybe,
past 9.
Yeah, maybe now we have the contact each other. We can have this discussion, because how as the reason we started this interfaith forum is to try to understand that all the major religions, they are from the God, and they are trying to guide us
yes,
to attain our purpose of life. So
yes,
with that in mind, we try to see each other religion, because the time is now almost 9 past 9, I think. We can conclude.
If you could give me a short time, I'll just try to know his next question. And if it's too long, then I will answer him in a private.
Okay.
Oh, okay. My next question was that you said that we move between different lives. and it's random based on God's will and all that. And to me, if we a human level and then jump backwards, that kind of is the reason for existence kind of vanishes for me, because for me,
it will.
It will. Every atom is progressing towards God or towards a spirituality. Yeah. And a human being is the apex of that, where it will shed this physical world and move into another world, the spiritual world, and be with God. So to me, going from a human world backwards towards being a snake again, kills that motivation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So which means the point is you are actually...
Yeah. And to me, when you have a shell and you open a shell, you either find a pearl in it or you don't. So you can't close the shell again in order to get a pearl out of it, because either the pearl exists in it or it is not. So for me, in this life, either we create that pearl or we don't, and go to the next world. So that was my question. But if the time is really maybe
short, but the quickest answer is your thinking is pretty good. You're very, very well reasoned, and your questions are very deep. The point is, think about it this way. Although random births are being given, what is the objective? The objective is the salvation. If you have now taken steps to actually go closer to God and you have been worshiping him all the time, it means that the next birth or the next things that you're going to go towards will be taking him closer towards him rather than going backwards. That way it is backwards and forwards. It is not backwards and forwards in terms of whether being a snake or you don't care about that. The snake or being a tree or being a worm is only the body. That's it. Still, you can be closer to him. Say, for example, you're born as a snake. You would be born as a snake close to the temple of the God that you are worshipping. You will always be eating the food from that temple, you know. You won't be a snake in a jungle or something. So, for example, all these are being done to actually nullify your karma somewhere, wherein you actually leave the ignorance, go towards God. That's it. So this is how I can answer in short.
Okay, thanks so much. Well, I still can't understand the ultimate.
It is very profound, so it will take time for you to digest the fact. But a lot of thinking can lead you there. You are like my professor said, you are confused. After confusion will come clarity, and it will come in a stronger fashion.
Well, okay, I think we should conclude because it's 12 past 9, and we normally close at 9.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I better stop the recording because.
So any